Hello, friends, and welcome to Pathologic Volume 5, Episode 18. Today we will be tackling a myopia puzzle. This is a genre that I have encountered before, though not often, and as I recall, it is not a horribly difficult one to solve, but it is a tricky one to understand the rules and their implications. So I do recommend sticking around for the rules intro if this is not one you're familiar with, before either watching me solve or giving it a go yourself using the link in the description. And another quick reminder that I am looking for your puzzles to feature in an upcoming volume of the channel, so head over to the Discord for more information about how to submit that. And finally, a plea for your thumbs up on my upcoming games that are featured in the Gen Con roundup that is on Board Game Geek. There will be a link to that in the comments below. And without further ado, we need to take a look at the rules. In a myopia puzzle, we will connect some pairs of orthogonally adjacent dots to form a single non-intersecting loop. So we are going to be traveling along the dots in the grid just like we would in a Slitherlink puzzle, and creating a single loop that goes horizontally and vertically only, not diagonally, through that grid and make a loop. It doesn't cross itself, it doesn't branch off or anything like that. Clued cells contain arrows indicating all of the orthogonal directions in which a loop segment appears closest to the clued cell. This is a tricky rule to get your brain around, but it means that in any cell with arrows, those arrows always point in the direction of at least one loop segment. So there can't be no loop from there all the way to the edge of the grid. And whichever directions those are, that's the closest distance to the loop. So that means that other directions are either the loop is either farther away or isn't there at all. So let's look at some examples of that. We'll start with this four-way arrow in the middle. That is telling us that yes, there are loop segments in all four directions, and they're the same distance. So this one is one away to the north, one away to the east, one away to the south, one away to the west. They're all the same. Let's look at this clue here for another good example. This will cover the other cases. So this is going north and west. You can see that in the north direction it is immediately adjacent, and in the west direction it's immediately adjacent. To the south, this one is one away, which is farther, and to the east there's no loop segment at all. So that satisfies the clue, because in the two directions that there are arrows, those are the ones that the loop is the closest and where it exists, and the other ones are either farther away or non-existent. Those are the rules of myopia, so it's time to solve the puzzle. Today's myopia puzzle was set by Eric Fox. So when we look at these clues, the first thing that I think is useful to do is to go through the grid and mark the cells neighboring the clues as not having lines on them if they don't have an arrow pointing that direction, because we know that, for example, for this clue here, it must have line segments to the west and to the south. We don't know about the north and the east, but if there are north and east, they are farther away, which means they can't be right next to the clue. So we can go through the whole grid and apply that to all clues that have less than, well, we obviously can't do it here because there are arrows in all directions, but in all other cases we can mark no lines on the other sides of the cell. So let me finish that up. And then we can look for some implications of that just from a loop standpoint. This clue right in the corner, I think, gives us a lot of information because of this west arrow. That means that there is a line either here or there. And because of this X, the loop can't then escape around the top. It's got to escape down on the left side, which means that it's got to go up and then back down. We've got to have two segments. So we've got to have this line and that line, and those need to be connected. The loop has to go up and down. That's the only way we would get any loop segments at all in this direction. And now that we have defined one, and there are two arrows in this clue, then the south arrow must be the same distance. So that means this has to travel east. Okay, and then this goes south. And what can we do next? If we've got a clue on the edge of the grid like this, that with an arrow pointing at the edge of the grid, like so, there's only one place for this edge to be that this arrow sees. So it is there, and that means west is the same distance. From our X's, we can continue the loop over here, here. That satisfies this clue right here, and the loop must go south. Next thing I see is this arrow. Now we know where the line is that it sees. We know it's not this one, and we know, so the closest is here, one cell away. That means that there is not a line one cell or closer in the other two directions. We already marked the closer case, but the one cell away case we can also mark on both of those. Okay, this arrow, we got the kind of the opposite. We, in two of the directions that don't have an arrow, we see that there's a line one cell away. So the direction of the arrow needs to be closer than that. So, and there's only one option, immediately adjacent. So there's a line right there. Okay, how about this clue? How close do the four directions need to be? If they are 0 away, then we would get that, which would be a loop already, and would invalidate the rest of the grid, since we have to have this all be one big loop. So they're not adjacent on this one. So they're at least one away, and there's only that far to go in this direction. So, oh, and actually we already have a line in this direction. So we know that that is the distance, so we can mark that on all four. They're all the same distance apart. This line is bordered with X's, so it has to keep going. And again, those were given. And let's see, this could go south then east, or it could go east. I think both are possible at the moment. This could do the same thing. Okay, do we know about this clue yet? They could both be adjacent, I think, or one away. So probably not there. Not looking there next. This arrow is restricted because if we drew that line in, it would need to keep going, and there's nowhere further for it to go. So that's not it. We already know that's not it. So now it has to be one of these two options, and we're in the same situation we were up in this corner, where if it weren't this one, then this would have no place to go. So in fact, this arrow must be pointing toward this edge, and that has to come down and up. There's no way to have one of these be filled in without the other one. So that's good. These have to both get out. And what do we, so this cell, we know this arrow is pointing two cells away. So the other directions have to be x's at least that far. This one's already done to the west. To the north, though, we already marked this one. We know this one doesn't have an edge, and we also now know this one doesn't have an edge. So this clue is fulfilled. This clue, this isn't going to be useful, but I'm going to point it out anyway. We've got an edge on this side that is 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So this has got to see a line before it hits 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So one of these three has a line in it. That's not much to go on. Just thought I'd point it out. We can't have a line here because it would dead end right there. So we can X that, which means we X this one as well for this clue. So these are at least one away. This has become a dead end right here, so we can X that, which means in turn we can X this one. So now we're at least 2 away in both directions. And because we're at least 2 away, let's see, let's mark some other dead ends. This is a little, I probably could be using some Slitherlink inside-outside marks to make this cleaner, but I'm just going to proceed with the X's since we've gone this far using those. So just marking these because of the dead ends that we can't have. We now we know exactly that this is 1, 2, 3 away where it first sees an edge. So we can do that in the other directions. This direction is 1, 2, 3 away to match that. This is further than that. So 1, 2, this is not an edge either. That's also an X. So that's given us a lot of those X's. I can mark this X because it would cause a dead end here. And this line, what does it tell us about this corner of the grid? It tells us that this edge that comes in here also, it can't escape on this side because of all of these X's we've marked in. It's got to escape this is the only place for it to escape. Once it goes in here, it's got to come out here. So, and we know that there is a line somewhere in here because of this arrow. So it's going to have to go further south. We don't know whether it closes immediately or goes over one further. I know from uniqueness which one that's going to be. I know that it's not this one, because if it were, there would be no way to disambiguate it. Well, actually, yeah, I do know that. But I'm not going to use that quite yet. I'm not going to use that at all because I don't like using uniqueness in these puzzles unless they call out that that is the requirement. This clue is done because we know that this line is exactly 1 cell away in this direction, so the other ones have to be closer, and the only option for closer is 0. This edge has to go straight through, which means this clue is done. These two are the adjacent edges. This line has to keep on going. And we're getting close, I think. This clue is done because in this non-arrow direction, we are exactly 1 cell away, which means the other ones are exactly 0 cells away. And this loop can't close early. It's got to keep on going. We got some X's we can fill in. This is a dead end. This becomes a dead end, all these dead ends. This clue, where could the edge be? What do we have not marked? We have this not marked and this one not marked, but we could mark that one. Those are both dead ends on both sides there. So in fact, there's only one candidate for where there can be an edge at all to the south. It's this one, which means we also have that one. And these both have to continue. We have finished up this clue because we've got an edge adjacent in this direction, so it is adjacent in the other two directions and must continue. We've got this whole section of the loop done. This has got to continue and continue, and we can't close off the loop early, so it's going to continue up like that and like that. And we've finished this half of the grid now. This line has to continue. We're just doing some normal loop stuff at this point. Okay, let's look at which clues we haven't completed. I suppose I could have been using the surface mode or something like that to mark when clues are satisfied. That probably would make things a little easier to see. I'll just do that now. Why not? So I'm just going to mark in pink all of the clues that are completely done. This one's completely done. This one is. This one is. This one is. Those were all satisfied. This one's satisfied. That one is. That is. That is. This one is done. This we haven't dealt with yet. This one we haven't. We know it's going to be. Well, I don't think we've done that one yet. This one we've done. Okay, so these two clues have more information to give us. So let's take care of those. This clue, what do we know about it? We've got something closer in this direction than in these directions. The closest this can be is 1 cell away. The absolute closest. Which means in these two directions we've got to be at least 2 away. So it's not this one. This would only be 1 away from that arrow. That's what's going to tell us. So it's got to be the 2 away. And so now we can go back to this clue and say this is one's 2 away. So this has got to be 1 or closer, and it can't be 0. So it is 1 away. And now I can mark that one as done. And let's see, this goes up. Is this clue done? I think it is very nearly so. In this direction, the direction of the arrow, we are 1 away to get to a wall. So the other directions have to be at least 2 away. This is fine in that direction, and in this direction, this has to be an X. And then we have now satisfied our final arrow clue. So those are all done. So that means we just have loop logic left. This is going to come up this way. This comes up this way. It's got to keep on going through. And this has got to turn. This can't go east because it would be a dead end there. This goes up then and up like this. If this went east, we'd have a loop close prematurely. So these both go north. This has to keep going north. And we've got this whole loop section and this whole loop section left. This can't go south or it would be stranded, so it goes west. We've linked up the loop, and there's only this left to go. This can't go south anymore, so it does go west. And that is how you solve a myopia puzzle.